Yo, it's Alphancy. With the winter patch and MapleCon coming around the corner, I think it'd be an appropriate time for me to make a video answering frequently asked questions as well as going over the basics of the class. I've definitely been asked by a lot of people how BaM has been played post 2-minute changes and how it pairs up pretty much with the rest of the game. This video is going to go through a lot of BaM's just basic mechanics and as well as how to burst with it, how I feel about its farming, and pretty much just other general thoughts I have on the class itself. We're going to also go over if it is a good potential main boss mule, or if it is going to be your pick for the second season of the Challenger World. Battle Mage's bread and butter is using Dark Shock and Finishing Blow in order to proc these Dark Brand stacks that will allow us to do a majority of our damage. Between our first and fourth job skills, Battle Mage has blow skills, starting from triple blow, to quad blow, to quint blow, to finishing blow. This is our main mobbing skill and bossing skill. In addition to our finishing blow and dark shock proccing, other skills such as our Dark Genesis and sweeping staff will also apply these dark brand procs. Both Dark Genesis and Sweeping Staff are essentially pressed off cooldown in between finishing blows, with the exception of Dark Genesis pre-Hexa. Another one of our damage dealing skills is our toggle Condemnation. Condemnation is a toggle skill that summons out a little mini Reaper that after a few basic attacks will come out and flash the enemy, dealing immense amounts of damage. There is an internal cooldown, however, there is no complexities. All you need to know is that if you whack it, this guy will come out sporadically and hit the boss. Now moving on to our auras. Dark Aura is our main aura. It's pretty much giving us damage. Yellow Aura gives us attack speed, movement speed, and enhances our teleport. Blue Aura is our status resistance aura. It gives us damage reduction, increased abnormal resistance, and with the hyper skill, will decleanse any debuffs. Rain Aura is our healing aura. It heals for 1% of our damage, up to 20% of our HP. Weakening Aura is our second most important aura, reducing the enemy's defense by 20% and giving us 5 FD. For dry notes, you want to focus on the 5 skills: Sweeping Staff, Condemnation, Dark Genesis, Dark Shock, and Finishing Blow. As for your 6th skill, you can either do between Battle Burst or Dark Chain. For the nodes, you want to go between a mixture of these skills. However, personally, I already grouped them to make it very simple, and you just need to have 2 similar tri nodes with different variations in order to max out these skills. Aura Scythe is our first 5th job skill. It's an active that combines all previous auras, providing similar effects and increasing our magic attack by 60. It also upgrades Finishing Blow to provide a new sweeping scythe that does more damage and has increased range. Altar of Annihilation is our next 5th job skill, shooting out 16 pellets applying Dark Brand, capped at 4 pellets per enemy. The ulti can be replaced by tapping the skill again. Our next 5th job skill is Grim Harvest. It's a summon that covers a large portion of the map, hitting monsters and mobs. Its duration increases based on the mobs you hit or the bosses you hit. The summon can be moved again by pressing the key with a delay of 10 seconds. Abyssal Lightning is our 4th and final 5th job skill. It's a buff that transforms the background of the map while applying additional lightning strikes after applying Dark Brand procs. It increases our crit rate to 100%, as well as it provides an additional 20% IED. It also provides portals that allow teleportation, however this is more or less useless in boss fights. Sixth job does not change how we play the class, but it does increase our damage by a significant amount. Extra Dark Shock is one of our biggest upgrades, providing 11% increase in damage. In addition to upgrading our brands, it also provides an additional secondary brand that proc every 15 brand procs. This increases our damage significantly. Hexa Condemnation is an upgrade to Condemnation. Simple as that. It does more damage, and every 4th Condemnation proc will be enhanced. Hexa Finishing Blow and Hexa Sweeping Staff are a single mastery upgrade. They increase our mopping and bossing ability. They also increase the vertical range and increase the damage. And last but not least is Dark Genesis. The increased version increases the damage and provides more lines, while providing an enhanced version called Dark Whip. Dark Whip has an internal cooldown of 30 seconds, and if the skill is cooldown skipped, you will only access the unenhanced version. If this skill is cooldown skipped, or uses the hyper skill Cooldown Cutter, you can access the unenhanced version. Crimson Pact is our origin skill. It provides a lot of damage. That's all you need to know. With the Wither patch, we're getting a new skill called an Ascent skill. Our Ascent skill is called Gloomy Aura. It provides decent damage while giving us an iframe. It can be used 3 times during boss fights. BaM has various passives coming from our auras and passive skills. An example is that our Hasty Aura provides a passive 20% at speed, jump, and 2 attack speed. It also provides some avoidability. I should not just repeat what the skills do individually, I will just put on screen what each skill does and have a total of what each passive provides. In bossing, we only need 4 toggles: Mana Overload, Dark Aura, Combination, and Dark Shock. Teleport Boost is an optional skill and is based on personal preference. Personally, I toggle it on because I enjoy the extra range, but some people toggle it off for certain bosses, so again, it is up to you. The reason why Dark Aura is your main aura is because it provides a damage buff. Weakening Aura will be applied through your Union Aura, and by the time you need to reapply Weakening Aura, Union Scythe should be off cooldown. However, for certain base bosses or phase transitions, you'll need to reapply Weakening Aura manually. Yellow Aura, Red Aura, and Blue Aura are conditional auras that will be dependent on what you need. Some parties will prefer Yellow Aura as they can forgo other passives, gain more damage, and get the attack speed through you from bossing. However, Red Aura and Blue Aura are very conditional, with unreliable healing and unreliable cleansing. Battle Mage's burst skills include For Liberty, Maple World Goddess Blessing, Abyssal Lightning, Master of Death, Aura Scythe, a Ring of your choice, and a B-Link. You should also summon an Altar of Annihilation and Grim Harvest before you burst. Here's an example of what my sequence button looks like. For the 1-minute burst, we're using For Liberty, Aura Scythe, and a B-Link. You're also going to want to be using Altar and Grim Harvest. In the future, once you get the ring swap button, you'll also be using another ring. Here's an example of our 2-minute burst. And here's an example of our burst with Ori. Telecasting as BaM is teleporting and using Finishing Blow. Ideally, you can teleport left to right, down, or up. Generally, telecasting is very intensive on the fingers and requires perfect timing and coordination to maximize DPM. While it is easier to teleport in the air, Condemnation can sometimes cast in the air, causing you to miss your ability completely. In general, in GMS, because we have attack speed 0, we do not need to telecast in order to get our damage. I only recommend telecasting if you're confident. In the past, telecasting was necessary because the damage was tied to the teleport. However, in a past patch, the damage was shifted to the brand proc, and since Altar applies the brand proc, you do not need to telecast to do efficient damage. As a magician, our best in slot secondary is the Deimos Sage Shield. Party Shield is a 4th job skill that covers a small area, giving us 11% damage reduction. It can be enhanced with hyper skills. Personally, I don't use it that often. For hyper skills, I recommend these. These hyper skills will increase your damage as well as providing additional effects to your auras. In terms of Oz rings, BaM is a good user of both Roar, Weapon Jump, and Cont. In dummy scenarios, Cont is the best ring. In practical and party situations though, I find that using Roar is a lot better and more consistent. Once GMS gets the ring swap button, we will be able to use Roar and Weapon Jump. I recommend using Roar during your 2-minute burst, and Weapon Jump during your 1-minute burst. From my knowledge, BaM doesn't really benefit from cooldown reduction as much. I've heard that people are testing it. Personally, I've never really seen any benefit to doing it. This may change in the future, but as for now, we are just a full stat hash class. BaM is an abuser of attack speed 10. You can either break the cap using a green pot or a yellow aura. Since green pot's available and I like to default to dark aura, I prefer just using green pot instead. However, if you do not have a green pot, you can default to yellow aura. For your nerd ability, you're going to be wanting boss damage, abnormal damage, and magic attack. You can also use buff duration instead of magic attack. It's a personal preference. As for farming, you're mainly going to use some type of item drop, meso drop, and normal damage. Farming pre-5th job is pretty annoying. BaM doesn't really have a good amount of range. Your teleport can sometimes kill if you have the damage, but honestly, I recommend burning BaM just so that you can skip the awful phase between 1st and 4th job. For 5th job, you have 2 summons that can cover a lot of the map, as well as a 3rd summon called Urna Nova. This makes farming BaM much more manageable. On bigger maps, you still need to use Finishing Blow and Teleport in order to kill some mobs, but in smaller maps, it's pretty good. With the introduction of 6th job, most of our skills get a range increase. We also get the addition of Sol Janus. This makes clearing the map easier. What Sol Janus does, the map will randomly get hit after killing a certain amount of mobs. You can manipulate the RNG in a way to fully clear the map. The alternative is Sol Janus Dawn. As you get higher, you get more summons that mimic Urda Fountain. In the endgame, you often see most people using Sol Janus Dawn to fully clear a map. Otherwise, BaM 6th job farming is pretty good in the early game, and pretty much similar to everyone else's farming in the endgame. Other things to cover are that BaM is a support class. Weakening Aura gives 5 FD and Dark Aura gives 15 damage. This equates to about 7 to 8 FD depending on how much you value boss damage. For Dark Genesis, the reason why you don't want to spam it when it gets the unenhanced version is that it could delay your advanced version. It's better to just skip it and wait until the enhanced version is off cooldown if you do accidentally skip the cooldown. That should cover most of the things I've been asked about BaM. Obviously, I might have missed some things, but you guys are welcome to reach out to me if you guys have any questions. If you do have any disagreements or anything, you are more than welcome to tell me and let me know and we can discuss it out. That should cover a majority of the basics. It's regards to if it's a good main. I think BaM's in a great spot right now. I feel like it's doing a decent amount of damage for a support class. Obviously, you know, I am going to be a little more biased and say that we're going to need a little more buffs, but, you know, I don't think the class does need to be reworked. As a potential burn for Challenge World, I think it's a great choice. It doesn't really have any issues with ID that I believe. It's very simple. Any stat you're going to roll for is going to be mainly int. Obviously, for your weapon secondary and emblem, you're going to be wanting some type of form of magic attack. Obviously, boss damage is a good secondary choice, but you know, you're going to eventually want to go for 9 lines of magic attack eventually. As for a boss meal, again, I think the class is super simple. I don't know any other class that is about as simple as this. I think it's a great choice. Everyone that I've known that has a Legion Champion as a BaM or as boss meal say they enjoyed the class. It's very simple. It is a mage class, so obviously if you have a mage main or another type of int user, you know, you're gonna be more likely to lean towards it, but if you're not, I still think that BaM's a great choice. That should be about it. See you.